Most of us have had the opportunity to learn at least one foreign language while at school or university. But we find it quite difficult to maintain those language skills when we get a full-time job and a ton of responsibilities just come out of nowhere. So in this video, we will cover multiple examples and practical tips of how to successfully learn or maintain multiple foreign languages at the same time. Throughout the video, I will be referring to my own examples of developing my Spanish skills while trying to keep my German skills alive at the same time. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cezary. I'm a strategy and educational consultant and the co-founder of Vereshko & Sons. So I've been planning to record this video for quite a while, and I wanted to structure those tips and examples in a way that would correspond to different levels of effort and financial and time resources that you have at your disposal, rather than by looking purely at the level of language proficiency, but it will be also taken into account. So level 1 is mostly about passive exposure, so being a consumer of content in a foreign language predominantly. One of the examples I could use here is something as simple as listening to a podcast in a foreign language while doing something else. So to use my own example, if I go for a walk sometimes, I would listen to financial news in German, or for example, I would listen to a podcast in Spanish that covers more casual, everyday topics as well. I would also listen to podcasts while cooking or doing some other sort of basic activities, sometimes even at the gym, for example. Another thing that you could do at this level, and this is not passive per se, is trying to play with apps like Duolingo, which they may not be the best, but they help you to establish a habit, and through gamification they keep things slightly more interesting, so they provide you with that extra level of exposure to the foreign language on an everyday basis, which is really quite important. Another sort of low-touch activity which you could do at this level is try to consume content about your hobbies and interests in a foreign language. So, for example, what I would do is, if I really want to read the most recent news on a particular topic, for example, the US elections, I would try to go to German websites to consume that content in German rather than, for example, in English or in Polish, which in my case would be much easier. But if I do it in German or maybe even in Spanish, then it makes me really put more effort into reading the article and trying to learn new words and expressions in the target foreign language. So at level 2, I would like to introduce the concept of actually trying to find an online or an in-person language tutor to help you develop your language skills and take them to the next level. That obviously requires a bit more money and a bit more time and preparation as well. But that's really a great solution for people who have more time and money at their disposal. I've been very lucky to have found Day to practice Spanish with, and she's really helped me to take my Spanish to the next level and prepared me for several trips to Spanish-speaking countries. There is a link to Day's profile below. If you're interested, I really totally recommend her services. Some of the key benefits of online language lessons would be flexibility and the fact that you can find loads of different tutors online with different price levels and also different interests, which might align well with yours, and that would help you to actually hold a conversation in a foreign language because you would have a topic that is of interest to the both of you. But the key here is really trying to talk as much as possible in the foreign language, because that, in my opinion, allows you to make progress much faster. Another example of what you could do at level 2 is to become a content producer rather than content consumer. And there are many examples of what you could do. You could record videos or a podcast in the target foreign language. But to use my own example, you could also journal. I don't journal every day, sadly, but almost. And most of the time I would try and do it in German. So that's again an example of what you could do to become a content producer. So last but definitely not least, what you could do at this level is try and leverage AI, so artificial intelligence, to practice your conversational skills and test yourself in the target language. I will cover that in a separate video, so please hit subscribe and you won't miss that one. Well, you've reached level 3. So far we've tried to make the target foreign language a part of our everyday activity, but level 3 is about making the big moves, whether that's in terms of your financial decisions or the effort and time that you put into learning the foreign language. Examples of what you can do in this area include going on holiday to a country that speaks your target foreign language. In my case, that involved making multiple trips to different parts of Spain, as well as to Latin America, where I could challenge myself on an everyday basis to speak only Spanish and never to use English at all. And I believe I personally benefited from that immensely. There are also other things you can do in the area of personal or work-related projects. For example, I mean, this would be a really big move, but you can try and, if that's of course possible, look for a job in a country that speaks your target foreign language. It would be really exciting. At the same time, you can try and do something more on the personal project side. To give you an actionable example from my own experience, I have a blog where I sometimes try to write posts based on interviews with the locals. And in one case, I had the opportunity to interview some people in Peru in Spanish, and thereafter I was actually able to write a blog post about it, which for me was a sort of massive milestone in both my blog and my Spanish language journey. So all the tips we covered today are really examples of conscious lifestyle decisions that could help you maintain your language skills or take them to the next level. And they are related to a concept called immersion. According to this research article by Yale University, immersion is one of the best ways to learn a foreign language. It could be achieved by interacting with native speakers, watching and listening to content in the target language, or even living in a foreign country for a certain period of time. Immersion helps you learn a language quickly and efficiently because it makes it a part of your everyday life. At the end of the day, learning foreign languages, just like many other things in life, is about consistency and willpower. I hope that the practical tips in this video will help you remain consistent in your language learning journey, while the personal examples show that finding the willpower is indeed possible. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.